Welcome to the Berean Brotherhood.
Welcome back. You already know the Berean Brotherhood. We are going to be hitting this topic about Catholics and Christians, the divide between them. Are Catholics Christian? This video right here got me to the point where I realized that this was a major topic that needed to be discussed. There's an argument and a claim that Catholics aren't Christian, and I made a statement that I cringe every time I hear someone say, well, I used to be Catholic and now that I'm Christian. And I want to say to you that this claim that Catholics are not Christian is 100% false. That claim is historically, theologically, and linguistically false. Let's go into some definitions because I think that I'm going to help you guys get an understanding of my viewpoint. Now, again, this is my viewpoint. I am a Berean brother. I'm going to let you know that I've done my research. I'll give you guys a quick disclaimer. I've been to 3 different seminaries. I've taken church history, church 101, church ethics, and all of these things. I know what I'm talking about, but I can't expect you guys to believe everything that I'm saying. So as a good Berean, the way this channel is, the Berean Brotherhood, I'm going to prove it to you. So I ask you, bear with me, because once I explain linguistically how Catholic and Christian are words that were synonymously used for the first 15 centuries of Christianity, then I'm going to go into Catholicism and how Catholic became a denomination, and that in that divide, you're going to see now the differences and how Catholic or Catholicism is a denomination now, but before it became a denomination, it was the only thing that Christianity had, and it was a word that was used synonymously. So, first definition, the definition of the word Christian. In the Greek is Christianos. In the original Greek form, it's Christos, meaning the anointed one, meaning Christ, and Ianos, which means in the Latin suffix, meaning belonging to or follower of, meaning the ones who follow Christ. It was first used in Acts chapter 11, verse 26, and in Antioch, the disciples were first called Christians. So there you have it. The word Christians found in the Bible. That's the first time that is used in Acts chapter 11, verse 26. Now let's go into the word Catholic and what that word means. Catholic, Katholikos in the Greek. The original Greek is kata, which means according to, and allos, which means whole or universal, meaning the universal body of believers, the whole entire church. The original use was referred to the universal faith of every single believer in Jesus Christ across the known world. So if you were a believer in Asia Minor, if you were a believer in Israel, if you were a believer in Ethiopia, all of those believers as a whole were known as the Catholicos, or the Christians, aka the Catholics, one universal church. Now, you might be asking yourself, when was the first time that the word Catholic was ever used? I'm glad you asked that question. The first historical usage was around 107 AD, and it was used by Saint Ignatius of Antioch, an early church father and disciple of the Apostle John. Now, you know, the Apostle John was part of the original 12. So this was a disciple of an apostle who was there from the beginning. In his letter to the Smyrnians in chapter 8 in 107 AD, Ignatius writes, wherever the bishop appears, there let there be people, as where Jesus Christ is, there is the Catholic Church, the Catholicos. That is the first time, and it's being used for the first time before Christianity became legalized. It was used before, roughly 200 years before the Bible was even canonized. So Catholic and Christian were not opposing ideas. They weren't two different things. They were used as synonyms before Constantine, before all of these things. These letters and these things were written to just show the universal believer. So when we see that there's written the one holy Catholic Church, the universal body of believers, Catholic and Christian was used synonymously. So what happened? Why was there separation? How did it become a denomination? When and where did the split happen? So the term Catholic originally meant all Christians who believed in the universal teachings passed down from the apostles, but there was a split that happened. For the first 1,000 years, there was one unified church, one holy Catholic church unified for the first 1,000 years of Christianity. And the church believed in primary, non negotiable core beliefs, which is the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the apostolic authority, the sacraments, meaning baptism and communion, and the church councils. That's where a bunch of bishops and believers got together from different regions to come and to challenge or accept regionally the different belief systems of what exactly is it that we believe, to make sure that we had it clear. There are people who are just as passionate as you and I living back then, whose lives were on the line. And you best to be sure that we want to make sure, as passionate as we are, believe that they were just as passionate, because they want to make sure that what they were believing was correct. Now, the first major split within Christianity happened roughly around 1054 AD, is known as the Great Schism, and is the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Western Roman Catholic Church officially split due to political, theological, and linguistic differences. Both still considered themselves Catholic and or Christian. The next big divide that happened was the Protestant Reformation. And this is where it gets interesting, because in 1517 AD, Martin Luther sparked the reforms, protesting abuses. He wrote protesting the indulgences, but he didn't protest Christianity itself. He didn't protest Catholic on his own. The people who were involved in the Reformation, they didn't invent Christianity. They left the Catholic Church but continued to believe in Jesus Christ. And over time, this led to the formation of denominations like Lutheran, Reformed, Baptist, Anglican, which then branched into Pentecostal, non-denominational, Presbyterian, etc., right? So we need to know our church history. We need to know that this is how Catholic became a denomination in 1517 AD. But prior to that, Catholic and Christian were used synonymously. It is not wrong for me to say that Christianity is the umbrella. Catholicism or Catholic is a denomination within Christianity, alongside with the other denominations like Lutheran, Reformed, Baptist, Pentecostal, Anglican, Methodist, Presbyterian. All of these are different denominations. So if you are Catholic and you convert to a different denomination, that is different. You did not go from Catholic to Christian. You just changed your denomination. And really, all that means is that your secondary doctrinal beliefs have changed into something else, because each and every one of us, Catholic denomination or any other denomination, what maintains us is our primary doctrinal beliefs in the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ, the Trinity, and the things that I mentioned earlier. So, in the umbrella that I'm calling Christianity, yes, it is correct for me to claim that not only Roman Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, every single Protestant denomination, Anglicanism, and the Coptic Church, the Armenian Church, as long as they have the very first and fundamental core non negotiable beliefs, they are called Christians. So it is in error, and that's why I said I cringe every time I hear someone say, I was Catholic and now I'm Christian, or I'm going from Christian to Catholic, as if it was a separate religion. It's not a separate religion. It was words that was used synonymously, and we need to bring and restore truth so that people don't sound dumb. I said that I cringe every time I hear it, because I've done the homework. I've done and sat in classes like church history, where I understand my history, and I understand that not everybody knows that. But now that you do know, you're watching this video, change the narrative. Let's get to a place in which we can begin to introduce a proper context and say, you know what? Catholic is a denomination, not a non-Christian. Make that clear. Now I know what you guys are thinking, but still, listen, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna break down Catholicism I'm going to break down their fundamental beliefs, and I'm going to break it down in such a way that you're going to be able to stand as a Protestant the differences of why we have an issue with the things that Catholicism is teaching and the Catholic Church is teaching as well. But the very fundamentals of Jesus Christ as the Son of God, that he was our Savior, that he was crucified, that he is risen, and that his teachings are what we follow, and that's what makes you a Christian. These are the things that I'm talking about. Let's get down to it. Why do some people say that Catholics are not Christians? These are what I call denominational differences. There's a confusion about works-based salvation versus faith alone. There's also the misrepresentation of the Catholic doctrines, like praying to the saints, the Eucharist, and the role of Mary within the church. And the truth is, if you go down historically, there's an anti-Catholic sentiment that comes down historically with a cultural bias, especially from the post-Reformation Protestant communities. These doctrinal differences that are secondary and not primary do not remove Catholicism from the Christian faith umbrella. They are still Christians. They just have a different approach into how their understanding of secondary doctrines, but it doesn't eliminate them. If anything, what we can do is we can pray and build a bridge, because how much division is the church going to continue having? Because nobody wants to have these conversations. We need to get to a point where we can build a bridge and say, you know what? This is what we disagree with. This is what we agree with. We are fundamentally brothers and sisters still, but we disagree on this approach. Let's get down and go back to the councils. Let's go back into having hearings and try to reconciliate the differences of opinion, not just allow for this division to continue happening, because we are able to accomplish so much more if we show the world in love one unified church. I'm not going to say Catholic Church, one unified church. To just close out this argument, to say that Catholics are not Christians is to rewrite 2,000 years of church history. From the very beginning, Catholic Church was Christianity, and all the Christians were considered part of the Universal Catholicos Church, and the first people to be ever called Christians were also part of what became the Catholic Church. So Catholicism is the oldest form of Christianity. It's called Catholic from the 2nd century to mean universal. Christianity is the tree, and Catholicism is the trunk. Protestant denominations are the branches that came later on. This is only part one. I'm going to go into part two, where I break down every single first primary belief that we have under the umbrella of Christianity, and then I'm going to show the secondary doctrinal differences between the denomination of Catholicism, Catholic, and the Protestants, which fits a bunch of different denominations. I want to thank you all for watching, for considering what I'm saying. Don't just take my word for it. Look it up yourself, do the research, and be historically, linguistically, and theologically accurate when we can take back the word Catholic from it being a denomination, but as a word that is representation and the original meaning of the universal church. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. Make sure you like and subscribe if this has blessed you in any way.